we sitting comfortably? And we'll begin. The French have their wine, and they are proud of the magic they have coaxed from the fermented grape. From the light dry Pinot Blanc of the Alsace region to the hearty reds of Bordeaux. From a delicately aged Sancerre that whispers softly of illicit affairs under a languid Parisian sky, to the dry, fruity briskness of Chablis. The French have enchanted the palate and brought lyric poetry to the tippler's tongue. The Belgian has taken chocolate and made it sing. At its best, Belgian chocolate is a lure for lovers, the indulgence of the rich, the sublime zenith of the confectioner's art. A classic praline explodes in the mouth with surprising texture and flavor, and feels as if an angel is singing on your tongue. Dark, velvety richness, filled with creamy Cointreau, or dusted with cocoa and plump with amaretto cream, is the majesty that only a perfectly crafted truffle can bring. It is food for the gods. The Irish have the potato. Now I know that there are those who would say that the humble spud lacks the importance and influence of the fruit of the vine on the cocoa bean. And to them I say, piffle! You simply could not be more wrong. And yes, I know the potato may lack the class and distinction of wine and chocolate, but nonetheless, it stands alone at the top of the crops. Its effect on world affairs incalculable. Yes, I know that to some of you, potato is little more than Robin to battered fish's Batman. Simply an excuse to waste taxpayers' money in a ludicrous congressional debate about the naming rights of the deep, fat, fried variety. But to us Irishmen, it is still the preeminent food, the dinner-time king, the lifeblood of a nation. Where would this country be if the potato famine had not played grim reaper to so many Gaelic souls in the 19th century? What would New York or Boston or Chicago have done without the influx of desperate Irish emigrants? Where would these cities have got their police force from? Their firemen, their laborers, their crooked dynastic political families, speckless, shrunken, brawling homeless? If the potato had never failed, we wouldn't have green beer, State parades, cereal-eating leprechauns, deodorant, soap. Quiet man wouldn't have been made, because John Wayne, as Trooper Sean Thornton, would have had no heritage to reclaim when he went back to English free, because his family would never have left in the first place. And the best, worst movie ever made never happened. That's how important the potato is. Whither Idaho without the potato? Whither Idaho indeed. We Irish know the importance of the potato. And among the men in my family, it is venerated with the same affection that a fundamentalist Christian would bestow on a piece of the one true cross. My father can identify by sight or taste alone 14 different varieties of potato. We Pepsi challenged him recently with a blindfold several different varieties of boiled potato and with no small degree of skepticism. Not only could he correctly identify them all, But he was also able to tell us which potato to eat at which time of year, when to plant them, how to tend them, when to harvest them, and which were good for nothing other than making chip potatoes. It was like watching an agricultural idiot savant. We began by holding up 2 pink potatoes and asking him if he could tell the difference between them. He fixed me with a look of absolute and utter disdain, as if he couldn't quite believe how he had sired such a moron. And then he said, "The one on the left is a rooster, the one on the right is a cow pink. And how in the name of God you can't tell the difference is beyond me. You are definitely your mother's son." You would fit everything she knows about potatoes on the head of a pin and still have room left over. She wouldn't know a good potato if you hit her on the side of the head with one. You know what? Your mother's the only person in the world who can go to a store and always bring home the worst bag of spuds. Jesus Christ, on a bicycle. The last she came home with a bag of Scottish and Cypriot potatoes, and they tasted the way a wet dog smells. What he said about my mother was true. She was perhaps the only Irish person ever who was clueless when it came to potatoes. Right after I first came to America, I sent my mother a present of pink grapefruits in a basket. We didn't have a lot of citrus in Ireland, and nobody in my family had ever seen a pink grapefruit before. I had them FedExed over, and I called her a couple of days later to see if she liked them. No. They were horrible. No wonder America is the way it is. It didn't matter how long I boiled them. They'll never take the place of our potatoes. She boiled them. My mother, a home economics teacher, boiled grapefruit. Even today, 16 years after the event, my mind still boggles in what she did. She boiled grapefruit and served it with ham and cabbage. I would have loved to have seen the expression on his face when that was plunked down in front of him. She said, her words, "I thought they were fancy American potatoes." My father having done so well with the see and identify part of the experiment, we decided to blindfold him and move on. In retrospect, we probably should have gagged him. He went down the line of potatoes, commenting on and extolling the virtues of every one, like a man on a gastronomic mission. "Oh, that one there, that's an Aaron banner. Oh, the Aaron banners always came first. A beautiful, early potato. You could buy them on the side of the road in Wexford in early June. Aaron banners always came first. This one here, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a Sharps Express. Oh, it's a gorgeous, flowery potato. You'd always know a Sharps Express, because it's so tasty, your arse thinks it's eating marshmallows." And on he went, like that. A black champion, a golden wonder. We used to always call them ministers' tools, because they were long and narrow. King Edward, a Ballycotton queen. Ah, Jesus, I'll never forget the time Big Jim Black came over from Baltimore. And we were driving around West Cork, and there were signs everywhere for Ballycotton queens. Lord be good to poor Jim, but he was convinced there was a transvestite festival nearby. This one here is a record. Ah, your grandfather's favourite potato. You always dug them on June the 29th, the feast of St. Peter and St. Paul. This one here is a Pendel, a big whore of a spud, kind of like a turnip, good for nothing but making French fries. He removed the blindfold. He beamed at us. There aren't too many who knows their potatoes like I do. He was pleased as much. Very impressive, Dad, he said. But at the end of the day, they're only just potatoes. You know, peel them, boil them, put them on a plate and eat them. They're only just potatoes. Only just potatoes! He roared. Only just potatoes! Oh, that's exactly the kind of flippant answer I'd expect from someone of your generation. No wonder this country is going to the dogs. Oh, everybody has their big house, and their flash car, and their speedboat, and their holiday home in the south of France, and their scuttling fucking mobile phone Bluetooth, and they Monday this and Monday that, and drive the kids to school. God forbid they should have to walk and maybe get a bit of exercise, and nobody has any idea who they are, or where they're from, or how hard people work not that long ago just to survive in this country. It's me, and nothing else. Well, I tell you something, mister, they're only just potatoes. The arse is going to fall out in this country real soon, and a whole lot of people are going to get a very rude awakening. I looked at him. I said, Dad, do you mean to tell me that this country, the second richest country in Europe, is going to hell in a handbasket because people can't tell the difference between potatoes? Yes, he said. And if you can't see that, you're a bigger idiot than I thought you were. Ireland is potatoes, potatoes are Ireland. And then he stormed off. I didn't pay a lot of attention initially to my father's tirade of the state of the nation. But what he said stayed in the back of my mind, and over the next few days gradually gnawed its way to the forefront of my consciousness. They say that God is in the details. Well, maybe the soul of the nation is also in the details. Maybe it is the little things, like the difference between a good potato and a bad potato, and an early potato and a middle early potato. It's what helps a nation maintain its identity. And without these subtle, eccentric differences, the whole fabric and culture of the nation unravels, to be subsumed by homogenization and mass production and spirit-breaking commonality. Maybe my father is right, and as we get more money and get more stuff, we're losing the essential part of ourselves. What if the potato, whose failure once scattered us around the world like the four winds, is now like some modern-day canary in a coal mine, warning us with its demise? And as we forget our knowledge of the potato, the history and traditions that go along with its planting and tending and harvesting, so are we now forgetting the essential parts of ourselves. And are we now one step closer to the dystopian future prophesied by Orwell, or any number of bad science fiction movies where everyone wears ill-fitting spandex one-pieces, exists on a diet of artificially flavoured pills, and where all conscious thought is monitored by a big brother-like entity called Uncle Jimmy, who makes weekly godlike pronunciations from inside his fortified home in his gated community within a larger gated community. Or maybe my father was just pissed off. His encyclopedic knowledge of all things potato didn't leave me as awed as a newly arrived Mennonite in Manhattan.